listeners, Harika here, and I'm super excited to welcome you to Upptalk. If you're ready to learn and get your hands work wonders in the world of information technology, then you're in the right place. When I say Upptalk, we are not just another edtech company. Consider we are your learning partner committed to unlocking your full potential. Whether you're stepping into the world of technology for the first time or looking to advance your career, we provide top-tier, hands-on courses to build up your career. Let's take our first step towards learning here and explore it.
The time limitations and personal details and phone notes and business instance. Other users. Configure the business email field for this user to receive the email notifications. We have to configure this email notifications. See for example time limitations. The user account is actually log on. Log cannot be deleted for at least 90 days. Basically by default, CyberAdmin will give the 90 days period, but we can give 1 hour time also. If you want to only activate for this user, only for this time to this time, you can give the time slots also. That option is available in the CyberAdmin. It's very fixable. That's what I can say. All options is available. And the next one is a personal details. You can give the personal details first time and last time and address whatever. If you require, you can give, otherwise leave it. Because what is the title? Which team is? Belongs to organization company here, XYZ companies. You can see. You can give all the personal details if required. But generally, usually they will not give and the current organizations. But if required, if you want to give, you can give it. And the next one is the phone and notes. If you want to give the phone number and all those things you can update here. And because this is required for the users, because if you want to get OTP, if you update the phone number here, you can get the OTP. And the new user, the business email is you have to update here in Run It. The business email update here and click on. You can get the notifications whenever you are changing something. And if you're doing something, it will get. And the next one is the transparent user management. Transparent user is from outside. He's not an internal user. He will come in the L, D, AP integrations and different directory mappings and manage the run from this. I will explain you here how to do the LDAP integration and that while doing the implementation project. That time. Also, I will explain you in and out what is the prerequisites and how we are going to take the steps. All those things I will explain you. Is it fine? The transparent user management. I think I already covered in the law the starting of the section. Transparent users is nothing but came from outside. He's an inbuilt, not an inbuilt user. And these are internally. We cannot add the internally here. These are the primary, some other domain that needs an Active Directory domain. From that Active Directory, we are getting the users with the help of the LDAP integration. Transparent user management, the world of communication with the LDAP compliant directory servers to obtain the user identification, some security information. You can see the start LDAP integration process by connecting your domains. If you want to connect the from domain users, you can. With the help of the LDAP, we can connect it. Those called transparent users. LAP users are provisioned into the cyber. The connect new domain here and create a directory mapping. For example, I think in the Active Directory, users or accounts, whatever it is you want to integrate with cyber. we need to take it as an LDAP integration. That LDAP integration, we can create the directory mapping. Here we are seeing how there are some steps. Directory mapping and then provisioning the users from the AD to CyberArk. This is enabled automatic provisioning and creation of unique users based upon the external group, membership, and attributes. See here the LDAP integration steps. You can see that the first step is to connect the world with the LDAP server, usually Microsoft Active Directory. That is taking an example. You can select other Active Directory also, but they have taken the Microsoft Active Directory. Basically, the most of the companies which are here are calling the Microsoft Active Directory also. The new wizard will guide you through this process. You can see this is the wizard. This is the steps which we are following how to an LDAP integration. The LDAP integration, first step which we require the domain name. Here we have taken the Acmecum. This is the domain name. They have submitted the domain name. The next step will be to provide the connection details and credentials to the other data. The next step which we can update is called Create Directory Mapping Optional. Then create the mapping and select the relevant groups. These are the groups. While doing the LDAP integration, we need to. If you want to do LDAP integration, we need to follow the 4 steps. One is the 4 steps which we need to follow. First one is what is your domain name, and we need to update the domain name and select the domain controls. What is the domain control here and update the domain control? We need to create mappings and the mappings which we need to give the 4 default mappings. But these are not the summary. First, we are already given the domain name and then next step, which we are giving the some domain control. Whatever the domain control is, third one is the directory mapping. Here we can see there are the 4 default mappings. One is the what that means. And always remember these 4 names because wherever you can go the interview, they will ask these questions. What are the default mappings? You can give this answer. What that means is it manages or it does users. Why they are creating these? They want to segregate the users into these. For example, they don't want to allocate all the users into the. What that means? They don't want to allocate all the users. They will allow few users into the vault and few users to receive the mappings. Then only those guys will be able to change something else and they can connect with the other users. Based on these permissions, based on these rules, they can get some permissions, default permissions. Because for the internal users, we are creating something in the private Earth client and we are giving these permissions. But with the held up integration AD group, direct AD group users, we have to segregate under these 4 names. Those users and accounts. We need to update all these things. A link as an undergroup is one of the built-in cyber groups and determine how the user accounts are created in the vault and those they will have it. You can edit these directly mapping later or create the custom mappings according to your needs. We have to update these users. Whenever you are opening the private Earth client, you can see these vault editors group. These are the default groups But you can see these are the vault internal groups. And the white images you can see, those are from the held up. And one great thing, if you change anything in the Active Directory, it will apply here. If you change, for example, from user is connected to the Active Directory user, you are changing it to the vault, something else. You are deleted into the vault, for example. That will not be deleted because tomorrow it is synchronizing the accounts. It will automatically come. Whenever you want to suspend that user, whenever you want to remove that user from the Cyber app, you should delete from the AD first. Then only that user will not come into the vault. But internal users, what will happen? If you want to delete from the vault, you can go to the private Earth client and remove it. It will automatically come. But if you go to the private Earth client and remove it from the add app users, it will not remove in the vault. You have to remove from the add app directory. Then only it will remove into the vault. That question will ask. That is the very scenario, basic question. The user processing. Users are processing automatically in the vault. The first time they authenticate via add app, receiving the roles and attributes based on the direct mapping. Whenever you guys are having some doubts, just let me know. And that synchronization, how it will synchronize, what is the time, the frame to synchronize the accounts will be activated to here. The parameters automatically we need to update in the Bini file. This is the configuration file. It is the main configuration file for the vault. We have to update some auto-synchronize external object. It should be an S24 file. The weather, not synchronized with the external directory, the number of hours in one cycle period. It should be a 24 hours in one period cycle and hours during the push synchronized takes place 1 hour or 5 minutes. DB from that ini file we have to update. This is one of the configuration files, the main configuration file of the vault. Those are the vault authorization, safe authorization and DDPJ permissions. I'm telling no authorizations from them. Fine until this. Do you have any questions, guys? Today, I think almost far I covered for the user under the user management. Who are the users and users versus accounts? Internal users versus internal users and groups versus transparent users and groups. And I explained how to change the password and how to add the users into the vault internally, and how to update the authorization and authentication in the private endpoint. I think I already explained the difference between authorization and authentication. Those two topics I'm going to cover. Once that is done, you may get some idea what is product line, how we are going to add the users, and the bottom dash which we need to update. All those things you may need some idea too. Once we get the access from the tool, I will ask you to add one user in the catalog, that you can get complete knowledge of that. Now I'm going to finish that vault authorization, safe authorization, and vault authorization and safe authorization is the difference here. There are two categories of the authorization in the system. Safe level authorization is different and vault authorization is completely different. In the vault authorization, we can assign only for the one user, but in the safe authorization, we can assign users and groups at a time. And vault authorization cannot be inherited via group 10%, defined only by a private endpoint. The only thing is, if you want any changes internally, that needs to be updated through the private endpoint. But the safe authorization you can be inherited via group 10% can be defined in the private endpoint. The both ways the PPD view can log, I have given you the snaps of it. I have shown you the screen for this app. You can see the screen. We can add the safe name there. We can add multiple accounts. We can add multiple accounts. We can add multiple accounts. In the safe authorization level, this can be defined in the private endpoint or in the both ways we can do it. But authorizations, you can see the authorizations, the safe level authorizations, we can give the permission. For example, if you create one safe here under the safe, if you want to add multiple accounts, if you give the safe level, authorization means we give the permissions on the safe level for all the users. Whoever under the safe, particular safe for all the users, will get that permissions. For example, if they are having a list of account permissions, the list of account permissions is nothing, allows the members is to view the accounts in the safe. For this safe, if I give the list of accounts and use accounts, that means they can be able to connect the private system directly. Some buttons will be activated connect button. If you select the use accounts, allow the members to use the account that's safe to connect using the PSMP and PSMP. Allow the members to show or copy the accounts. These are the permissions at the safe level we can give it. Once they get the safe level for all the users under the safe, they can get it. Whenever you are required, the organization is required. For example, if you have created a Windows platform. On the Windows platform, you have multiple accounts. You want to change them at a time. You have to give the permissions at the safe level. Or if you want to give the one account, you have to give manually. We have to go to the on and on accounts and give the permissions at the account level also. For all the authorization, I think you might have already explained. See, you can see these. What are the permissions you require? You can click on the tick mark and give the permissions to them. That is the difference between safe authorization and vault authorization. Do you have any questions on this authorization between the safe and vault? I'm going to. The next one is Vault Authorization Administrator. I will take it as an output. The Vault Authorization here. You can see here, if you click on the Vault Administrator, you can see the right side, User Rights. What are the rights are there? At Saves, audit users. At Update, all the rights. All the tick marks are there right in the gray color. That means we can be able to change anything in the server. It has a complete administrative access here. The built-in administrator has full vault authorization by default. By default, you can see here the master, user and administrator will get the complete rights by default. Whenever a person requires administration, you can add that user into the administration that they can get all the rights. Vault authorization, you can see this. The auditor user rights, you can see audit users are there. He will not get complete rights. he will get only audit users. The built-in auditor user only has the auditor users. What are the rights? These all depends upon your organization. Safe authorizations. You can see the safe authorizations. The most predefined user and the groups are added. Whenever you are adding one user into the particular safe, you can see these are having all the rights to do and the safe authorization. You cannot change anything. If you want to do any changes here, you cannot change anything. You can add a query to it. The users in our test group are automatically added to all the safes with the boxes as list view and list address. We have to remember all these things. The safe authorizations. The list of votes that are added automatically to the created safes is controlled by parameter in the def4mima file. The def4mima configuration file. You can see the users are going to select the same. You can see here automatically added. If you remove these users here, you cannot see these users by default. This is the complete Word configuration file. I will show you later once I get the access to it. The PY permissions, you can see the tab buttons. This is the PYA console. There is some button on this. The tab and buttons are available in the PWA and in the platform. You can use this button. This is the latest version. This is the latest version. This is the third-party version. Currently it is running badly, but this is third-party version. This is the latest version. Great. Let's see here. You want to do any configuration here for the system, the computer settings and system configuration. The member of all the administrators have access to the administration tab. The administrator can have access to the administration tab. You can see all the options here. You can change the configuration of the system. The PWA permissions, you can see the member of all administrators have access to the administration tab. You can see the console of the PWA here. Here Mike is the user. Mike is the opponent of the PWA. He is the person who changes the configuration of the system configuration. If you want to change any of the configuration here, you can change the options, the subshape, the data integration, the notification settings, all those things. You can change the data configuration. What are the PWA permissions here? The member of all the administrators have access to the visualization tab. We can monitor it there. You can see this. You can run the reports. ITAS is always able to export the reports. We can see here the section properties activities and from then on what is required for these sessions. You can click on from this to that to this. You can see in the below right, you can see this below. Play button right side. In the record, you can see that from the 24, 21, 28, 26, 20, 21. How many recordings are there? All the section recordings are there. These are the account users. You can see these and click on the play button. What he has done now, who is the connector, the target, what he was the earlier. You can see this here. That is how the auditing goes. That is what I mentioned in the introduction class. The ITS teams are monitoring the tabs. Monitoring also there. That is the picture that is available in the sample. The preview permissions the number of security administrators and security operators have access to the security. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@uptalk.com.